Imagine spending your whole life connected to a community, even participating in local government affairs, and then one day being told you were not only no longer welcome, but that you and your entire family were no longer recognized by them. Our Mireya Villarreal traveled to Washington State and looked into the tribal disenrollment one family claims is unjustly leaving them without a home and identity.
15 miles south of the Canadian border, cedar trees line the winding roads of Deming, Washington. In the distance, snow still tops the mountain peaks as spring ushers in the warmer weather. Below, the Nooksack River glistens, its watershed considered native land for some 2,000 people who were part of the Nooksack Indian tribe.
Where does your father live over here?
So his house is straight down here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Michelle Roberts expected to own her home by the end of this year, but the Nooksack tribe is trying to evict her because she's part of the 306 group.
The baskets my grandmother weaved.
306 people from the Rabang family who were officially disenrolled from the Nooksack tribe in 2016.
Having such a large family that it didn't sit well with some. It's always been like a family feud, a kind of thing within tribes where their people want the power. It all comes down to the greed and the power grab.
Michelle officially became a member of Nooksack in 1983, at one point serving on the tribal council. All of that taken away when a former tribal chair questioned her family's lineage to Nooksack, and with the help of other council members, they began the process of disenrolling Michelle and the other Rabangs.
Have you been able to gather the documents to try and re-enroll and try and prove that you belong to this tribe?
We have the documents, yes.
And it proves that you are Nooksack?
In our eyes, yeah.
Did you ever think that you would have to do all of this just to...
No, not at all. When your grandparents say, you know, you're from a certain area, this is who you are, this is where you belong, you believe them. And having to find documents to prove that, you know, it's kind of demeaning.
The UN even weighed in, expressing concerns over the evictees' human rights and due process. They urged the U.S. government to step in and halt the evictions. The federal government responding, saying they found the tribe to be in compliance with its procedures.
Where would you guys go?
We don't know. I don't know at this point. We're gonna be struggling if it gets to that point.
But Michelle is hopeful the newly elected Nooksack tribal chair, Rosemary LeClaire, will hear them out.
We're hoping that she will sit down and actually look at our documents with open eyes. That generation seems to be more open to put a closure to this. We need to start healing.
Healing may be hard to come by. Rosemary LeClaire supports the disenrollment of the Rabang family. In her first ever interview, she says this has nothing to do with power and everything to do with preservation.
I don't want to string along hope. That's not who I am. I need to defend the Nooksack people. I need to defend my children and to portray the truth that Nooksack were humble people. And there's not much that we have to be offering even our own people. The little resources that we do have, we need to make sure is secured for our future.
Is this a war between
families
in this situation?
It's the simple fact that they do not have lineage to Nooksack.
Tribal disenrollment isn't unique to Nooksack. According to some estimates, some 10,000 people have been affected by disenrollment nationwide.
It's the rise of tribal self-determination coupled with an influx of gaming money contributed to a lot of political pressure to create disenrollment. The vast majority of tribes did not do this. They did not go down that road.
And yet, Nooksack did. One of Nooksack's casinos shut down and the other isn't a cash cow, so there's no money to really fight over. But those who no longer belong to a tribe can lose access to tribal resources like healthcare, education grants, and housing. Nooksack is one of the 573 federally recognized tribes who operates as a sovereign nation, The federal government has little power to meddle in internal affairs like disenrollment. And for Santana Rabang, what stings the most is the feeling of being stripped of her identity.
It's a direct attack on who I am. Technically, on paper, I'm not Native.
Santana Rabang and her grandfather, Robert Rabang, were also disenrolled. Santana now lives in Lumi, the tribe where her mother is from. But she's not a member of Lumi either because she doesn't meet blood quantum requirements there. Blood quantum was imposed by the U.S. government in the early 1900s as a means to define and limit citizenship within Indian tribes. It's still being used today to measure the amount of tribal blood in a person's ancestry.
Blood quantum isn't how we identify as Indigenous. It's my connection to the land and the knowledge that I carry. It's not the amount of blood that I have in me. It's the fact that it's there and lives through me is all that matters to me. But I'm not enrolled anywhere.
This neighborhood is where Santana grew up learning Nooksack traditions.
Oh, my grandchildren.
And since Robert is no longer considered Nooksack, he's also facing eviction. He's fighting to stay to preserve his mother's legacy, the woman who was known for weaving baskets out of cedar.
It's been really stressful. It just hurts. All these people were our friends when we first came up here. Now they're all turning their backs like you. It's really difficult. I don't want to give up my my mom's fight. I'm fighting for her. It could get really ugly because I'm not leaving here.
I think there is a deeper concern and heartache, really, because now they might be losing their homes.
They are perceiving the fact that because they are not able to enroll in Nooksack, that they have nothing, and that's not the case. They have options to housing, just like all people have options to housing. They just do not have options to housing with Nooksack.
Rosemary says housing is hard to come by, and that's why they're pushing hard to make the Rabangs leave. She says about 60 people who are Nooksack await housing. Some are in this house that's now a homeless shelter.
We're not saying that they don't belong anywhere else. We encourage them to find their lineage to where they do belong.
For Robert, that means he'll likely move to Canada, where he already has a home. Santana's hopes is to join the Lumi tribe. Discussions to revise the Lumi tribe's basis for enrollment would mean she wouldn't have to prove the amount of blood she has, but rather her connection to the land.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.